Hi, I'm going to talk about how to use the Pythagorean theorem multiple times to find a missing length. So what I have on the screen is a picture. It's like a triangle within a triangle. And our goal is to find the length of RT. Let's see. Right here. So this length is RT. This side of the big triangle is RT. Now we know this kind of little side right here is 5, but we don't know this little section, so we can't add them together and figure out the length. What we can do is we notice that down here, I have a triangle that has a hypotenuse and it has a leg. So I can use those two pieces of information to find the bottom, which is a missing leg. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a is the leg I have, so that's 5 squared, plus b is the leg I don't know yet, so I'm going to leave it as b squared, equals c is the hypotenuse, so that's the side that does not touch the 90-degree angle, so that's 13 squared. Now 5 squared is 25, plus b squared, we still don't know what it is, equals 13 squared, is that 169? Let me see. 13 times 13 is 169. And now I subtract 25 on both sides. B squared equals 144. But we're not done yet. We still have to get rid of the square. The opposite of a square is a square root. So I do the square root on both sides. So that gets rid of the square. So now I just have b equals. And the square root of 144 is 12. So now I know that this bottom side is 12. So now I'm going to use that 12, and I'm going to use this hypotenuse of 37 to find this missing leg, which is actually the side I care about. So I'm going to do Pythagorean theorem again. Remember I said that I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem multiple times. So here was the first time I used it. 12 is not my final answer, though. I have to use it again to help me find my final answer. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now I'm looking at this big triangle. One of the legs that I do know is 12 squared. The other leg happens to be this up and down. I don't know, so I'm going to leave it as b squared equals, and c squared is the hypotenuse, which is 37 squared. So now 12 squared is 144 plus b squared equals 37 squared is 1,369. And now I'm going to solve. So subtract 144 on both sides. B squared equals 1,225. Take the square root on both sides to get b by itself. Square root of 1,225, and that equals 35. So our answer is 35. So this length right here is 35. So that is the first example of using Pythagorean theorem multiple times to find a missing length. We had to find this first before we could use Pythagorean theorem to find what we actually cared about, which was this side. Now I'm going to clear this. Maybe, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and do another that looks different. So it might take a minute. But we're going to do another one that instead of having two triangles on top of each other, here we go, it's actually like a three-dimensional shape. Now, our goal is to find the length LN, which is right here. LN is kind of the border of two triangles. I have this triangle right here, which only has one side that we know of yet. So we couldn't use Pythagorean theorem to find LN. And we have this triangle on the other side of LN, which also only has one side. So we couldn't use Pythagorean theorem yet. So because neither of these triangles helps us, what we're going to do is take a look at this kind of bottom of the shape, I guess, is what you could call it down here, and see if this helps us at all to fill in any of the sides of those two triangles I just pointed out. So here I know that a leg is 9 because it's right by this 90-degree angle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I have a leg of 9 that I do know. Now let's take a look. The other leg is right here, and I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to leave that as b squared. And c squared is the hypotenuse, which is 41 squared. So let's see, 9 squared is 81 plus b squared equals 41 squared is 1,681. Now I just have to solve on both sides. B squared equals 1,600. Take the square root of 1,600. And B equals 40. So now that I've done that, let's go ahead and erase some stuff over here. Now that I've done this kind of, pre-work, I know that this side is 40. That didn't help me on this triangle over here, which means that triangle I can't use. But it did help me on this triangle over here. I now have two sides that I know, and the third side that I don't know is the side I care about. So I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem again to help solve this. So a leg that I do know, looking at this triangle, here's my 90-degree angle. So one of the legs is 40 squared plus the other leg is the thing I care about, so I don't actually know what that is yet. Equals, C is the hypotenuse, 85, and then I have to put squared. 40 squared is 1,600 plus b squared equals 85 squared is 7,225. That's really big. Subtract 1,600 on both sides. B squared equals 5,625. We're not done yet. Thank goodness, because that's a huge number. Take the square root on both sides, and the thing we actually care about equals 75. So now we know this length that we wanted to find out is 75. So same as the last problem that we did, we had to use Pythagorean theorem here in order to fill in some information that allows us to use Pythagorean theorem the second time to give us the answer we care about. So that is using Pythagorean theorem multiple times, or we call that repeatedly, to find an answer. Thanks, bye.